Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a huge report that I want to share with you. So, I have brought on Dave Hodges again, but he's got a bombshell of an information that he has specifically in regards to the Domestic Terrorist Act of 2018 that just came to fruition or has come up to the forefront. I'm going to let him tell you exactly what that is and exactly what happened. But this is a very dangerous thing, and we need to have our guard on with it. But Dave, I know you're with me via audio. Can you hear me okay over there?
I can hear you just fine.
Awesome. So tell us first, share your website information, your YouTube channel, and then let's get into this Domestic Terrorist Act of 2018.
Okay, Dave Hodges, and my website is thecommonsenseshow.com, and we have all kinds of articles and videos and special reports up there, and we update it regularly. And I also have a YouTube channel, and it's called The Common Sense Show. And we update that every 2 hours, unless we have something breaking, and we'll do it more often. And I have a radio show that airs on Sunday evening, and you can listen to it on the website by clicking on the Listen to Dave button in the right-hand column of thecommonsenseshow.com. And we air from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Pacific and 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. on the East Coast.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us, what is it about this Domestic Terrorist Act of 2018? What's going on with that?
Well, it's coming up for a final vote, and all parties are saying that they're going to pass it. And basically what the Domestic Terrorist Act of 2018 says is that they basically want to criminalize people with extremist ideologies. They want to be able to declare you to be a domestic terrorist. Now, this is a setup. First of all, the term extremist ideology is highly subjective because in the bill, they do not define it. They don't tell you what extremism means. If they said things like, well, people that would release sarin gas attacks on a major population center, I would agree, that's extreme, and that should be dealt with. But they're just saying anything. So we're kind of down to the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook censorship mentality that if we don't like something you say, we're going to say it's extremist and we're going to ban it. But in this case, it'll be worse than banning, because see, this domestic terrorist bill will lead into the NDAA. So if they say you're an extremist terrorist, then you are subject to being declared an enemy combatant, and you can be seized off the street without due process. And this is how they will get people into the FEMA camps. And I want to just kind of lay this out, Lisa, where this is going. This Domestic Terrorist Act is just a piece of the overall tyranny. The first thing we're seeing in this country right now is an evisceration of the First Amendment. All we have to do is look at social media and regular media to see the truth behind that. In fact, actually, 100 professors came out at the University of Chicago 2 days ago and said, we don't want Steve Bannon on campus. We're banning all people that are conservative. That's an attack on the First Amendment. It's rampant across the country. And the first thing you got to do before you overthrow a republic like ours is you want to install totalitarianism, you have to do away with the First Amendment. And that also includes freedom of religion. That's coming too. The second thing you have to do is to get rid of the guns. And what good way to get rid of the guns than to engage in false flag attacks like the Aurora Batman situation, most recently the Florida shooting, which we all know is a false flag, and then they have excuse to come after your guns. So they want to shut you up so you can't organize against the tyranny. Then they want to seize your guns so the people can't collectively defend themselves. And now they have this terrorist bill coming in, which basically says, well, we can now snatch you off the street because you have extremist ideologies, and we're declaring you to be an enemy combatant. Hello, welcome to your FEMA camp.
Now, this hasn't fully passed yet, but they're talking about, are they voting on it here soon?
Yes, it's a fait accompli.
It's a what?
It's going to pass. I said it's a French term. Fait accompli means it's a done deal.
Oh, got ya. Okay. So that's horrible. I mean, it kind of reminds me, I guess, of what Janet Napolitano put out, the right-wing extremist document. I think that was 20...
The MEAC report.
Yeah, what year was it? I don't remember what year.
2008.
2008, yeah. And this particular thing, she specifically targeted right-wing extremism as if you believed in the New World Order, if you were pro-life or against abortion, if you I would say kind of, that goes along with Christian values. And if you were a gun owner, I mean, all these things were labeled, which would be, the epitome of your conservative Christian, just a perfect picture. And that those were things as signs and calls for, or if you believed in FEMA camps, that was in there too, then you could be considered a right-wing extremist and thereby defined as a terrorist, which that one did further define it the right side, but it's not even a legit assessment. I mean, I know hundreds, if not thousands, probably, of people who believe in a lot of that, and not a single one are terrorists. And so now we have this, would you call it kind of a sister to that? I mean, what is there a link between the two at all?
Well, between what two variables?
Because the right-wing extremist document, and I think that Napolitano put out.
I'm sorry. Yes, yeah, the MEAC and the present one.
Yeah,
it's a way to criminalize being a patriot. And it's kind of a 10-year updated version of the MEAC report. But see, Lisa, when the MEAC report was passed, there was no NDAA to snatch you off the street. Now, under Obama, the NDAA came in, I believe, in 2011. And under Obama, then they declared that you could be called a combatant and you could be snatched without due process to a lawyer. They could kill you and no one would know. They could hold you in a hole, no one would know. And that's the difference between then and now. This is really bad. I mean, this is basically saying what the Nazis said to the Jews. Hey, we can come and get you and round you up in the middle of the night, and it's legal. We passed a law.
Yeah, that's a bit terrifying. I mean, here's the deal. They have RX-84 centers. They have FEMA camps. You know, throughout the country, they have all these different things. They do have them set up. They do have them in place. It's if people don't believe that, I encourage you to look up internment and resettlement document. I'll leave a link for it below. This details in full these types of FEMA camps. They're not labeled FEMA. They're labeled internment and resettlement camps. But these are things they all have in place. And this is why we need to pay attention to some of these documents and executive orders and, all these bills and legislations being passed, because a lot of them, there's not one big enchilada that allows them to do everything at once. It's like, okay, the NDAA allowed them to detain you without cause indefinitely. And then we have the domestic terrorist one where it says it defines what those terrorists are. Then we have the internment and resettlement that puts together the camps for things like that, but under a different banner saying they're going to use it for immigration or displaced persons or whatever. So there's a lot of hidden pieces that can be found in all this legislation. Would you agree with that statement?
Oh, absolutely. But this is all encompassing. Lisa, here's what people forget about. They forget about Trevor Loudon's great work called Enemies Within, in which he cataloged and proved beyond a shadow of a doubt in this documentary that there are 80 congressmen and senators in the Democratic Party who belong to front groups for either the Communist Party for America or the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the world's largest terrorist organization. And 80. And this fact is not just coming from Trevor Loudon. I've had Robert David Steele, ex-clandestine supervisor from the CIA, confirm this. Cynthia McKinney told me it's true, ex-congresswoman, as well as Alan West, former congressman. So, I mean, this is proof beyond all reason that we're being betrayed by many people inside of our government, and they're setting up America to fall, and they're setting up the dissenters to go to prison camps. In fact, let me just tell you a quick anecdote. I interviewed the late Larry Grathwell, who penetrated Bill Ayers of the Weatherman Underground back in the late 60s. And Larry said, as an FBI informant, he posed as a weatherman, and he told Bill Ayers, well, what will you do, Bill, if you ever take over the government? And Bill said, well, we'll have to put about 50 million people in re-education camps and do away with, meaning murder 25 million of them. Well, Bill Ayers was the man who launched Barack Obama's political career for the state Senate of Illinois in his Hyde Park, Chicago home.
And that's the crazy part. I mean, these are facts. Anyone, if they Google Bill Ayers and I believe there's even pictures of him and Barack Obama, there's so much information on that, and it's insane. But the way I see it is we just need to have a heads up, and there are people in place trying to stop it. I do believe Donald Trump's trying to stop it. So we have good people in government attempting to put a halt to that as well. So always things to think about. But with that, do you have any concluding thoughts? And then share your website and information again as well. But just with that, I think, we as journalists are going to do everything we can to stop any plan in place like that. And you never know which way the cookie is going to crumble in the future, but it's always good to be ready for that. So with that, what concluding thoughts do you have, Dave?
Well, we need to think of ourselves, and I mean all of us, whether you're in the media or not, you need to think of yourself as like a flashlight for the truth, a beacon for the truth, meaning that we have to get stories like this, big time exposure. And the reason that you do is because, you see, when you shine the light on a cockroach, it slithers away. And this is what the globalists historically do. If we shine a light on their plans, they'll change their plans. And in fact, Lisa, if you go back to the H1N1 scare back in 2009, I was among those journalists who published the dangers of the vaccines and the anticipated roadblocks to do forced vaccinations. And I had law enforcement people on my show anonymously saying that this was being rehearsed by DHS and the Obama administration. And we stopped it. We stopped it by exposing it. And so everyone who's listening to me, you have to be a beacon for the truth. Now, my website again is thecommonsenseshow.com. My YouTube is the same name, The Common Sense Show, and my show airs on Sunday evenings from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern, and we have some of the best guests on that are out there.
Yes, absolutely. And Dave, thanks again for coming on my broadcast. And for all you out there, all the links for Dave and his channel can be found below, excuse me. And if you want to check out getthetea.com, he's got amazing products. You can also do that below. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. This is Lisa Haven and Dave Hodges signing out. Perfect.
Okay, that was efficient.